what does it really mean to be a yoga teacher? Number one, understanding the goal of yoga. The definition of yoga is Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. That's Sanskrit for yoga is the removal of the fluctuations that disturb the peace within the mind. So understanding the purpose, why you are stepping into the seat of the teacher makes a big difference. And that's what really differentiates and makes a master yoga teacher stand out from any other teacher. And we've all been there. You take a yoga class and okay, it's great, but you go home and you don't even remember what the teacher's name is, right? And that's not what I want for you. What I want is that you are this masterful yoga teacher that creates a transformation within the student that stays and resonates with them when they go home and they tell their family, they tell their friends about this class really touched me in a way that I've never experienced before. And that was my personal experience when I first practiced yoga. So that's what I really want for you. I want you not to be just a name on the schedule and people sign up just because it's convenient in their calendar, but I want people to look for your name in the schedule and follow you wherever you go. And that's what really makes a masterful yoga teacher, is that the teacher, when you arrive and you start your class, you're no longer thinking about yourself. You're thinking about the students. You're holding space for everyone arriving from whatever level, whatever experience they are. You meet people where they are. So no matter if they're complete beginners, they don't even know how to do a downward facing dog, or they're doing handstand on their pinkies, your job as a yoga teacher is to make everyone feel welcomed and that they belong on the yoga mat. And that comes from understanding the big why of why we practice yoga. We practice yoga not to get better at doing yoga, but to get better at living life off of the yoga mat. So really, a yoga practice is just a practice for life. That's why we call it a practice. Another very powerful goal that you want to have in mind is that how can I hold a safe space for my students? So what makes Yogi Maha method unique in its way and very powerful as a teaching technique is that I train my students to teach using verbal cueing, not demonstration, because when a teacher is demonstrating at the top of the class, the students are in an inversion, for example, in a downward facing dog, which we're most of the time, it's a repetitive pose. And when they're trying to look at the teacher when they're upside down, they can immediately injure their neck. And all the other complicated poses, it's very difficult for the student to keep looking up to try to see the teacher. It's very damaging for the neck. So that's number one, is just physical safety for the student. Number two is that mind-body connection, and what really makes yoga unique in its way is that it trains the student to connect with their body. Many students arrive in their yoga practice and they don't know, where is my right elbow? Where is my left ankle? Where is my forearm? Where is my shoulder? And by listening to the cues from the teacher instead of looking around, they begin to figure out, and it makes that mind-body connection. Literally, neurological pathways begin to form from the brain to the limbs to certain parts in the body. And the more they practice this, the stronger this connection becomes. And what that leads to is feeling secure in your body, feeling comfortable in your own skin. And that's why you feel the way you feel after a yoga class. And that's why yoga is deeply healing, because it makes the practitioner feel comfortable and safe in their own body. And how can you, as a teacher, guide that student to feel safe in their body? Is by beginning to guide them to get to know their body. So your body is the only home you have in this lifetime. And just like your physical home, your regular home, you know every room, you know every drawer, you know every window, and you're not afraid of going into different windows, into different rooms and different areas in your home. The same way needs to be with your body. This is your sacred home, the home that you live in throughout your whole lifetime, from birth until you leave this life. And so it's really important to get to know your home and to go get to know every nook and cranny and feel safe in your own body. And most people who suffer from anxiety, it's because they're living at the level of the thought outside of their body. So they're thinking about the past, they're thinking about the future. They're not in the body because the body is in the present moment. It's not in the past or in the future. So that is a very important point of view to have when you arrive at that seat of the teacher. How can I make the student feel safe in their body and create a safe environment for them to begin to investigate and explore who they am on an embodied physical level? And then the third one is that you want to take that student on a journey. And that's again what makes the teacher a masterful teacher, is that it's not about just warrior one and warrior two and downward facing dog. Any teacher can do this, right? You especially these days and age, you can do, a teacher training and get that certificate. But then how do I create a transformational and transcendental experience that truly changes the student's perspective and point of view in their way of being in the world? It's through that, creating that trance and through verbal cueing, because when the student is looking around, whether they're trying to look at the teacher or trying to look at the person next to them, their energy is going outward and it's being depleted, and they might even get into that comparison and competing, and oh, that person can do the splits and I can, and they begin to self-sabotage themselves. And so when you tell the student, I just want you to listen to the cues and maybe even soften the gaze and even close the eyes, they begin to go into that deeply meditative state of consciousness. And it's then about them and their body and the union, which is the definition of the word yoga. The translation is union, oneness. They begin to unite with their body, with their breath, and with their mind, and their energy becomes more potent, more cohesive. Actually, research has shown that when you close your eyes, you preserve about 30% of your brain capacity and energy, and yoga is all about that preservation, that recharging, refueling, and harnessing your energy inward. And then when you arrive at that Shavasana, at the final resting pose, you really begin to drop into deeper and deeper states of consciousness. And that's really why we practice yoga, is to create that awakening inside of you that transcends this voice in your head, the fluctuations that disturb the peace within the mind, and get you into that calm, clear, awakened place. And it's through verbal cueing, you as a teacher, as a guide, you are able to take the student on that journey by allowing them to withdraw the senses and just listen to the voice as you guide them through the whole experience. And I always encourage my students when I lead just a regular yoga class, I tell them, listen, I don't care if you make mistakes. I'd rather you listen to the cues and go on that discovery journey. And even if you make mistakes, at least it's your decision. And that's actually the fastest way that anybody learns, is through their own mistakes. But if you keep looking around and just copying, you're on the autopilot mode. And how much is that is happening outside of your yoga practice? You looking around and trying to copy what everybody else is doing. There's enough of that happening, and you don't even know if the person next to you is doing the pose correctly, and you're almost kind of giving your power away. I'm just going to follow the crowd because I trust other people more than I trust myself. So as a teacher, you are guiding your student to begin to strengthen their trust within themselves, and that's self-sufficient, that I'd rather make my own mistakes and learn and grow from them on my yoga practice than just looking at someone else next to me and they might be doing the pose wrong and I'm just copying them. Verbal cueing versus demonstrating. You allow the student to go deeper and deeper within, and they strengthen their mind-body connection. They go into that transcendental state of mind, and that's where the magic happens. And that's what makes a yoga teacher a powerful yoga teacher. A lot of people think it's about poses and about, can I do arm balances? I'm not advanced enough. I can't do all the poses. I get that so many times that people want to sign up for the teacher training, but they tell me I don't know all the poses. I always advise them and tell them that it's really not about the pose. It's about teaching. Teaching is a skill set on its own. So being a teacher instructs and guides other people. And that's about leadership, about presence, about using and finding your own voice. Anybody can get at the top of the class and just do a down dog and a warrior one and even an arm balance and a complicated pose. But that doesn't make them a teacher. That doesn't make them a guide, leading and guiding others, a room full of 20, 15 people that are not necessarily all yogis. They're accountants, they're in IT, they are moms, they're from all walks of life, and they look at the teacher to guide them through this journey. And that's the difference between teaching as a skill versus performing a yoga pose. That's what I really want for you, and that's what makes Yogi Maha Method a very unique and powerful way of teaching and guiding others. You become a master yoga teacher, not just a regular teacher.